Yeah. Tired. Not even gonna lie, guys. I'm a little bit tired. Past few days have been absolutely crazy. Been crazy. I've been busy. Just a lot of stuff. Not just YouTube related, like real life stuff. I even lost my regular glasses. These are my backup sunglasses. See how thin the sides are? See that? Yeah, these are my backup sunglasses. I had the one that I had the sunglasses that I usually wear earlier today, and then for whatever reason they disappeared. So we're down to our backup sunglasses, but that's okay. That's why I keep backups, and if I can't find the other ones, I'll buy another pair of backups because that's how I roll. That's how we do this. But anyways, what is today? Wednesday. My days run together. Today is Wednesday, so happy hump day, everybody. And it seems like every day that passes is one day closer to Pac-12 implosion. That's just what it seems like. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe the Pac-12 is 100% fine. Maybe they're fine, and we're all way off. But it just the way things are going. Like, honestly, whenever I wake up, I'm like, all right, so we're gonna hear that they have a TV deal. Everything's good, at least for 5 more years. It's not gonna be a great TV deal, but they're gonna be fine. Pac-12 is gonna be fine. I keep telling myself Pac-12 is gonna be fine, and every day, bad news, bad news, bad news. It is absolutely insane. I just, it's not looking good. It's not looking good for the Pac-12 and the ACC. Not, I don't want to say they're doomed, but it's not looking great for them either. I think the ACC. Let me put it this way: I do think the ACC outlasts the Pac-12. I do. I think they can make it to 2036. I think those granted rights might keep everybody together, but that might be it for the ACC. It might be 2036 and it's over. Like, we can literally know the expiration date of the ACC because of the granted rights. But I don't understand just the bad decisions that these conferences are making. That's the one thing that I really like. I look at this stuff and I'm like, how did you not know that was a bad decision, George Kliavkoff? And I can kind of understand the ACC decision a little bit better because there was no way to know that the SEC and the Big Ten were going to get these massive TV deals. But at the same time, you had to look at the brands that you had and the money that you were getting and realize, wait a minute, this math does not add up. So that was not a good decision as well. But Pac-12 by far making the worst decisions out of all the conferences. And folks, listen, this is not me talking trash about other conferences, and this is not me promoting the Big 12, all right? I am not a conference homer. I am a West Virginia homer. I love my Mountaineers. I'm glad we're in a Power 5 conference. That's all I care about. Doesn't matter which Power 5 conference, except for the Pac-12. Not the Pac-12. But if we were in the ACC, Big 10, SEC, I'd be fine with those conferences as well. As long as we're in the Pac-12, we're competitive. We make the money to stay competitive with everybody else. That's all I'm worried about. So these videos that I'm putting out with the ACC for the ACC and the Pac-12, it's not me looking down on them. It's not me trash talking them. It's just me basically saying, you reap what you sow. That's life. You can call it reap what you sow. You can call it karma. Everybody calls it something different, but it applies to every aspect in life. And now we're seeing it apply to conference realignment because they made terrible decisions and they continue to make terrible decisions on the case of the Pac-12. And, well, here's your reward. It's not looking good at all. All right, guys, before we go on any further, make sure to hit the like button if you haven't already. Keeps these videos rolling, gets the video suggested more by YouTube, tells YouTube, hey, people actually like this. Let's suggest this video more to other people. So please hit that like button. And, hey, even if you didn't catch this live show live and you're watching the replay, that's okay. Simply hit the like button and you're still helping the video. I really appreciate it. Keep the comments coming. That helps the video as well. On top of that, if you have a question, comment, or you want to say something that you think I was wrong and it's really this way, a contradiction, an argument, whatever, you want everybody to see it, you want me to read it, or you want to make fun of me, that works too. Hit that super chat button. It's that little dollar sign that you see on the bottom right-hand corner. Anything you put in that super chat is going to go on the screen just like you. There is something in my eye, guys. Dadgummit. Anyways, whatever you put in that super chat is going to go on the screen just like you see the subscriber count right there. And it's a great way to support the channel. Like I've said many, many times, all YouTubers, and especially college football YouTubers, we always appreciate those super chats. It's you're directly supporting the channel. I count that as a donation. We always appreciate that. But in the off season, we appreciate it just a little bit more because the interest in college football kind of goes down. It gets challenging. It gets interesting to try to get people to watch your videos. So far, we've had a great February, and hopefully, with the start of March, we have a good March. So I am not complaining. We had a wonderful February. But still, all the donations, we really, really appreciate that. So as you can see on the screen, by the way, subscriber count, 12,986, meaning we are only that's real time right there. Well, not real time because I would be updating if somebody hit the subscribe button. But when I went live, that was the subscriber count, 12,986, meaning we are just 14 subscribers away from 13,000. Who knows? If you're not subscribed, you could be that 14th because people, you never know. People might have subscribed before I went live and before I checked it. This is the last time I checked it was probably an hour ago whenever I made the banner right there. So who knows? You could be the 13,000 subscribers. Sorry, I don't have any prize for that or anything, but still, you could be the 13,000th subscriber. So there you go. Anthony Manzano says, how do I accept a membership? Doing a live show, I'm trying to think. I really, if a moderator is in the comments, please let him know because for whatever reason, I am absolutely brain farting on that. I apologize. Wow. Anyways, so I did a video earlier today on the ACC, and I showed a graph that 365 Sports was able to get their hands on. And it's basically something that the athletic director of Florida State showed the ACC administrators, and it was the viewership from 2022. And it, we all knew that Florida State and Clemson were 1 and 2, but I didn't realize it was this big a gap. I really didn't. Florida State was number 1 in viewership last year. Now, of course, it helped that Florida State had a really good year, but still, Florida State has probably one of the most loyal fan bases in all the ACC. You combine that with a good season, great ratings. They pulled a 3.17 million in viewership. Number 2 was Clemson with 3.08 million in viewership. So they were only behind 110,000. That's not that bad. That's pretty good. That's not that bad. So Clemson at number 2. What surprised me was number 3, the Miami Hurricanes, 2.04 million. Did you catch that gap? Did you catch that gap, guys? Number 2 was Clemson, 3.08 million. Number 3 was Miami, 2.04 million. So the difference between number 2 and number 3 in viewership in the ACC was 1,020,000. That's a significant gap. And I honestly, hindsight 2020, I probably shouldn't have been surprised, but I was surprised that Miami was all the way up at number 3. So I think Miami is going to be more, if the ACC falls apart, whether they vote to dissolve the grant of rights or people just start jumping, I actually think that Miami Hurricanes are more attractive than people realize. Number 4 on this list, also drawing over 2 million viewers last year. This one surprised me. Louisville, better brand than people realize. And I'll be the first to admit, I didn't think that they were that big of a draw, but Louisville apparently is a big draw. They are top 4 in viewership. And Louisville didn't have a great season. It was okay, I guess. So imagine if Louisville had like a season like Florida State did or Clemson. Maybe they could jump. I mean, they were only 20,000 behind Miami Hurricanes. They could jump Miami Hurricanes if they had a good season. So Louisville all of a sudden becoming very attractive as far as what I'm considering. I didn't consider the SEC. Well, especially the Big. I still don't think that the Big Ten is interested in Louisville because of the academics. They don't have good academics. They're kind of in the same register as West Virginia. They don't have AU status, so really it would be SEC or Big 12. And because of Kentucky, I thought, there's no chance. But with their ratings as high as they are, I know Kentucky would be a no vote for sure, but maybe Louisville could get enough votes to where they could slide into the SEC if the ACC implodes. Very, very surprised that Louisville was at number 4. Top 4, the rest of these schools did not crack 2 million viewers in 2022. So it was 1, 2, 3, and 4. All 4 of those were above 2 million. 1 and 2, Florida State and Clemson, were above 3 million. So yeah, there's a drop off from 2 to 3 and a slight drop off from 4 to 5. Although Virginia Tech was close to 2 million, still not quite to 2 million. So number 5 was Virginia Tech, drawing 1.92 million, which is not bad considering they had a terrible, terrible season. Good numbers. And number 6, I'm actually not surprised with number 6. A lot of people were surprised with number 6, and that's Syracuse. 1.7 million is what they drew. Syracuse has the largest fan base in the ACC if you're not counting Notre Dame. So I'm not surprised with these numbers. Could you imagine if Syracuse figured it out? They figured out how to start recruiting. They figured out how to start putting money where it needs to go as far as the football program. And they started winning, and they started having 10-win seasons like they did back in the Big East. Syracuse could be a top 3 brand in the ACC if they could do that, as is their top 6 at 1.76 million. Which, by the way, just playing a what-if game, and I said this in my video earlier in the day, if West Virginia were in the ACC, they'd be at that 6th spot. They'd be just ahead of Syracuse and just under Virginia Tech because West Virginia draws in, I think, 1.86 million is what I saw. So, yeah, West Virginia, all these excuses, West Virginia does everything, the ACC, blah, blah, blah. Our favorite narcissist, Tar Heel, repeats itself over and over and over and over. And then when he's proven wrong, I directly proved him wrong in that video earlier today. He contradicted what he said. He contradicted himself. The dude cannot admit when he's wrong. That is a classic narcissist right there. I cannot deal with that. You can't talk to a narcissist because they're right no matter what. You can't have a conversation with the dude because he's always right. He's never wrong. Even when he contradicts himself, he's all over the place. Anyways, yes, I had to get that off my chest because I had some interaction with the dude. It's been a while since I interacted with him too, and today reminded me why I don't interact with him. He's a narcissist. Number 7, higher than most people expected, including myself, Georgia Tech. Upper echelon, finishing out the top half as far as viewership. 1.70 million. That's not bad. Number 8, Virginia at 1.68 million. There was a 2-way tie. This surprised me. Pitt, 1.65 million. That's not the surprise. What surprised me is who was tied with Pitt. NC State, also 1.65 million. I thought NC State had better viewership than that. I did. Not going to lie. I thought NC State was worth just a little bit more than that. I still think they could carry some value into the SEC because I do think the SEC wants a footprint in the state of North Carolina as well. That brings us to number 11, North Carolina, 1.57 million. All these people beating their chest about North Carolina, it's a viable brand. The heartbeat of the ACC flows through Chapel Hill and Tobacco Road, which it does as a whole. North Carolina, Duke, Wake Forest, and NC State. But North Carolina fans, why aren't you watching your team play? What happened? 1.57 million. That's bad. That's 300,000 less than West Virginia. Yikes. 12 Boston College at 1.45 million, 13 Wake Forest at 1.26 million, and last, dead last, Duke, 1.02 million. Hey, at least they broke the 1 million mark, right? So Duke could be in trouble. Duke could be in trouble. Listen, before I saw these numbers, in the scenario that the ACC falls apart, I said Wake Forest, Boston College, you're in trouble. You're in big, big trouble, mister. Big, big trouble, mister. But the problem is Duke is in trouble. Duke is a basketball school. We all know that. I thought that they got better ratings than a Boston College and a Wake Forest in football, though. They do not. They do not. No, not at all. And now that Duke is having a down year in basketball, I mean, their worth is not good. It could be at an all-time low, to be honest with you. Here's the thing. They were able to pull over 1 million viewers in 2022, and they had a, 8-4 season? Like, if West Virginia has an 8-4 season, they're probably going to pull around 2 million, closer to 2 million, at least 1.9. So Duke going 8-4 and only pulling a 1.02 million. That just shows you how much they don't care about Duke football. They do not care. So the three teams that would most certainly be in trouble if the ACC collapsed or imploded, voted to dissolve, people started jumping. However you want to word it, Wake Forest, Boston College, and Duke. Having said that, because of the musical chairs thing and the thing we call math, maybe one of them would be saved by the Big 12. Because I do think after seeing these ratings and factoring in AAU status, academics, geography, all that stuff, my updated list, and I don't know how many times I've updated this thing, but here we go. For the SEC, I'm going to say Clemson, Miami Hurricanes, Virginia Tech, and NC State. So they're going to get the Miami Hurricanes because they can't get Florida State. Florida State's going to get AAU status. There's some bad blood between Florida State and the SEC. That's why I have Florida State going to the Big Ten. So instead of getting Florida State, they'll get the Miami Hurricanes. And looking at the numbers, that's a good gift. They were third. They pulled in 2.04 million. That's good. Louisville, I want to put you in the SEC, but I don't trust the SEC because of Kentucky. I don't think they'll pick you up. So I hope I'm wrong. I do, because you guys deserve to get in the SEC, especially after seeing these ratings. But I'm going for geography and getting a footprint in a new state value. So Miami would be their first. I completely skipped Clemson, but we'll get Clemson. Miami, Clemson. I know I'm kind of contradicting myself because they already have South Carolina. But South Carolina is not the biggest brand in the state of South Carolina. They have to get Clemson. It would cripple the ACC as well. This isn't just about helping your own conference. It's about hurting that other conference. So, hey, if we can't have Florida State, then we're going to take Clemson and the Miami Hurricanes. Definitely. So there's two spots right there. The other two spots, I want to say Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is a top 5 football viewership as far as the ACC goes. They drew a 1.92 million. A lot of people were saying Virginia, but Virginia's all the way down there at number 8, a good 300,000 less than Virginia Tech. I'm going to say Virginia Tech. I think culturally Virginia Tech fits the SEC better than Virginia. But don't worry, Virginia fans, I'll get back to you. So Virginia Tech, and in that last spot, NC State. They want to get a North Carolina school, so they're going to get the highest viewership North Carolina school, meaning not North Carolina, not Wake Forest, and certainly not Duke. So for the SEC, I am predicting Clemson, Miami Hurricanes, Virginia Tech, and the NC State Wolfpack. So for the Big Ten, Florida State, number 1. I don't think they go to the SEC. Bad blood. They're pursuing AAU status, and I do think that the Big Ten is going to help them get AAU status. So Florida State, number 1, and that is the best brand in the ACC per the numbers. 3.17 million was the highest draw of any ACC school. So that is a big win right off the bat for the Big Ten. The next team, I'm going to say Georgia Tech. A solid footprint in the state of Georgia. Great recruiting hotbed right there. Georgia Tech in the upper echelon when it comes to viewership. That's a good pickup. The next one would be Virginia, just under Georgia Tech. Virginia also has AU status, a footprint in another new state. So that's 3 new states for the Big Ten. And so for that 4th spot is North Carolina. They grab a footprint in the state of North Carolina. So let's go back and rewind and go through that one more time. SEC, Clemson, Miami Hurricanes, Georgia Tech, and NC State. Big Ten, I got Florida State, Georgia Tech, Virginia, and North Carolina. Now we're to the Big 12. Big 12, first pickup, without a doubt, Louisville. If Louisville is left, they will snag them up. Louisville was 4th in the ratings when it comes to ACC, $2.02 million. That's good. That would be a huge get for the Big 12, and it would kind of help bridge the East with the West. The next pickup would be Syracuse, sitting there at number 6. And if Syracuse has a good year, that $1.76 million could be much closer to $2 million. In fact, could surpass $2 million. So that would also be a good pickup. Then they would pick up Pitt at $1.65 million. Rivalries intact. It's not one of the better brands, but Pitt would be a solid brand for the Big 12. And then finally, that last spot. Who do they get for that last spot? Well, here's your choices, folks. Not very good. Maybe don't go with any of these and you go with Memphis. Maybe that's a question. Let's see. Boston College, 3rd to the last with $1.49 million. Wake Forest, 2nd to last. 2 great seasons, and they were still 2nd to last. Do not pick up Wake Forest at all costs. $1.26 million, and do not pick up Duke at all costs. So we're going with Boston College. No, Memphis. I would go with Memphis. If those are the 3 choices left on the board for the Big 12 to pick up after you pick up Louisville, Pitt, and Syracuse, don't even bother. Don't do it. They don't help at all. It'll just be another mouth to feed. Pick up Memphis. Memphis is investing $200 million into the Liberty Bowl. And if you've seen the renditions of what it looks like, it looks futuristic. It looks amazing. There's an LED ring that goes around the stadium that's going to be lit up. It looks absolutely amazing. All right. Midnight Magic Musings. Thank you for the $2 donation. Says, guess ESPN can't keep propping up UNC and Duke. Yeah, exactly. The ratings just don't back that up. In fact, I don't see that happening anymore. And now it really makes me question some of these early predictions when people were predicting the implosion of the ACC. Who did they say? Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina, Virginia, I think they get one of those teams, and that's Clemson. I think North Carolina, Virginia, and Florida State, all 3 go to the Big Ten. So I think they were way off on that. But, it was early in the game, and it's still guessing, but it was even more guessing back then. So it is what it is. Now, having said all that, there's a possibility that the ACC decides to go unequal revenue share, like Florida State and Clemson is wanting. Probably not going to be able to, accommodate as big of a gap as they want, but they'll be able to do something. Let's say they do that. Let's say nobody, wants to pony up the dough and get out of the grant of rights or do the buyout and limit home games. Because from what I've seen, that $120 million that Florida State said it costs to get out of the ACC, that only covers the buyout. They would still be tied into the grant of rights, meaning all their home games would still go to the ACC. So they would have to schedule more away games and more neutral site games in order for that not to happen. So the total amount, from what I'm hearing, was $500 million, but that does go down. So I don't know where it's at right now. It could be anywhere between $200 and $400 million. That's still a lot of money. So let's say nobody is willing to pony up that dough, or nobody is willing to pay $120 million, and yet their home game revenue still goes to the ACC. Nobody wants to do that, and you can't get the 8 teams to agree to vote to dissolve the grant of rights. And the ACC does last to 2036. We are looking at the shelf life of the ACC, folks. Even if they survive this, even if they kiss Clemson and Florida State on the rear end and do some unequal revenue share, make some of the lower brands unhappy. Nobody leaves, nobody votes. 2036 is the shelf life. It is. Once 2036 gets here, and I know that's like 13 years away, but life is fast, guys. It'll be here before you know it. Once 2036 gets here, I think it's over. I think we are witnessing the shelf life. We can literally see and know the year that the ACC either won't exist or won't be the same. So it's either some stuff. To me, it's as many good brands as they have now. I mean, they might survive with like Wake Forest, Boston College, and Duke and backfield, and the ACC still exists as basically the AAC. But the ACC, as we know it, I think has the shelf life. I don't think it's going past 2036. It could blow up before then. It could be incinerated before 2036. But that's the cutoff date in my mind. Like, that's it. The end all be all. It's done. Fin finito, the end. So when you're talking about who's in a better spot, the Pac-12 or the ACC, I guess technically the ACC is. But it would still suck to know when your death is. Have you ever watched those shows where a person gets the power of knowing when exactly they die, and it actually makes them more stressed? Like for the ACC, they can see their death date. Could you imagine, man? Well, let's make the most of things, guys. We know when it's going to be over, so let's party like there's no tomorrow. Let's party like there's no tomorrow, guys. So yeah, the ACC knows their death date. It is 2036, and it's going to be here faster than you know it, unless Notre Dame does the unthinkable, unfreaking thinkable, and joins in full-time football. There is a way to save, but you're depending on a team that has been independent all but 1 year of their existence, and that was the COVID year, and they really, really like their independence. They beat their chest with that independence. I don't see Notre Dame joining the ACC, but that would save the ACC. It really would. That would save the ACC. Now, for the Pac-12, it's almost like things change day to day. It's crazy. So, day before yesterday, Oregon State, no, it was yesterday. Excuse me, yesterday. The athletic director of Oregon State and Arizona State came out and said in an article that there is no deal on the table for the Pac-12. No deal. They didn't say, yeah, we're looking at a bad Pac-12 deal, but keep us together. No, that is not what they said. They said there is no deal on the table. None. Okay, that's not good. And then last night and this morning, I started hearing this rumor that there actually is a deal on the table. It's between 22 and 25 million per team per year, but the teams don't want to sign the grant of rights. If that's true, if that's true, that means that the Pac-12 will have a crappy TV deal. Teams would be barely getting paid. And if they don't sign the grant of rights, then they can leave at any time. They could leave at any time. Leave, as in go, no penalty. If you don't sign those grant of rights, you are not binded to the Pac-12. So if it's true and they have a TV deal, a bad one, a terrible one, between 22 and 25 million per team per year. And what I'm hearing is it was tier 1 was given to Amazon. They're going to get priority if this is true, and ESPN would be the subsidier. And honestly, I think that would be the direction they need to go. They don't need to go Apple TV. That would be a terrible, terrible, terrible decision. They definitely don't need to go Ion. That would be just the stupid of all stupid. Like bottom of the barrel stupid, like scraping it, with a knife. You're getting the gunk off the bottom, stupid. So at least it would be like, all right, well, at least they're getting the best TV partners they can possibly get, even though the TV deal itself is terrible and the teams don't want to sign the grant rights. That tells you everything you need to know. What I just said, that tells you everything. It means that the TV deal doesn't matter. They see the writing on the wall and they don't want to bind themselves with the Pac-12. They do not want to sign that dotted line. Yeah, we'll stick around as long as we want to. But we're not signing no grant of rights telling us we have to stay till, 5 more years, 10 more years. That ain't happening. This is crappy money, especially your Oregons, your Washingtons, your Utahs, even your Colorados. I think they're much more valuable since they hired Coach Prime. Maybe your Arizona schools, your Stanfords for sure. I don't even think your Oregon States, Washington States, and even Cal would be okay with this type of money. They do not want to sign the grant of rights. That is awful. That tells you the Pac-12 is on its last legs. They don't sign the grant of rights. The Pac-12 is literally on its last legs as we know it. Those teams are not committing to the Pac-12. They'll continue to play in the Pac-12 and get paid with the TV deal, but they're not making a contractual agreement with the Pac-12 because when they see greener pastures, they want to be able to go without any penalty. And I think that makes sense. If you're going to, it's almost like, hey, if you're going to give us a bad paycheck, then we get a free out. Okay, that's the deal. You expect us to accept 22 or 25 million a year, then if we want to leave, there shouldn't be any penalty. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. So we'll see what happens. I'm hearing there is a TV deal on the table, but it might not matter. Because if they don't sign, then what happens? Pac-12 could be done in 2024. 2024. And what happened to all the buzz around the Pac-12 being interested in outside? That's what I'm saying. If they don't sign the grant of rights, then there is no TV deal. But their counter argument is going to be like, well, you're going to pay us crappy money. We're not signing the deal. That was the whole thing I was saying. But anyways, so what happened with the buzz as far as San Diego State and SMU joining the Pac-12? What happened? Where'd they go? Like, that was a big buzz. Like, oh, man, George Kliavkoff, he's trying to save the Pac-12. He's going out and get San Diego State, which, by the way, the number one team they should have went out and go after because they lost USC and UCLA, and they need to do anything possible to soften the blow. And Fresno State. Yes, San Diego State and Fresno State were the two teams that they needed to lock down immediately. So we hear that they're interested in San Diego State. At one point, I heard that an invite was extended, but then I heard that they didn't get the votes and they had a revote, and I don't know what's happened since. I don't know. Then SMU, George Kliavkoff apparently wasted Pac-12 money by flying over to SMU, and from what I've heard, it's cold on SMU. So you wasted Pac-12 money to fly your butt over to Dallas, DFW, to look at SMU only to say no or take a. If you're not confident in the vote, what I'm hearing is they didn't get the votes. That's what I heard. So if you didn't know 100% that you were going to get the votes for SMU, why did you fly over there and waste Pac-12 money? These are the stupid decisions that I'm talking about for George Kliavkoff. John Tio, thank you for the $2 donation. Says UNC, Duke, Boston College, Wake Forest, and the Big East with UConn. To hell with college football, right? Yeah. I could see. Well, not North Carolina. North Carolina still makes a lot of money in football, but the other three I could see going to the Big East. That Big East is a good basketball league, and They really don't care that much about football. I could see that, just not North Carolina. They actually do invest into their football, and they have a decent stadium. Hero 75, thank you for the $5 donation. Says, do we know when the Big Ten will get a new commissioner? That's a good question. The Big Ten will add no one until that happens, and the Pac-12 teams know that and wait. And I'm hearing that is factoring into Washington, Oregon as well, because they want to see if they can get in good with the new Big Ten commissioner. Good comment, by the way. Hillbilly Skeptic, thank you for the $5 donation. Says, do you think some states considering giving players 50% revenue has anything to do with Pac-12 teams turning down Gore? Will they have to pay all players? No, I don't think so, because NIL is a separate thing. That doesn't have anything to do with the TV deal. You can't use the money that you're getting paid from the TV deal to pay your athletes. That's not how it works. How it works is donations. NIL is a completely separate thing. That is completely funded by basically the fans, the donors, all that stuff. The conference money goes into facilities and all that stuff. So, no, I don't think the 50% revenue has anything to do with it. In fact, I think that would help with Colorado's situation. They are killing it now. It's a good question, but it's two separate things. Hopefully, I explained that well enough for you, man. John T.L., thank you for the $2 donation. Says, oh no, I mean bring back Big East football. Oh, football. Well, you're gonna have to add more teams than those teams, because remember, the Big East doesn't exist in football, so the Big East can't exist with just North Carolina, Duke, Boston College, Wake, and UConn. So who are you adding? Well, that's 5 teams. Excuse me. John Teal, who would you add with North Carolina, Duke, Boston College, Duke, Boston College, Wake Forest, and UConn? There's 5. Who are you going to add with that? So we'll see. We'll see what John Teal says with that. I'm interested in your comment. That's why I'm saying that. But I'm only seeing 5 teams for the Big East. So we'll see. We will see. But for the Pac-12, they're in a world of hurt. I think they're in a far worse situation over the ACC. At least the ACC has those granted rights to fall back on. That's it may be their death date 2036, and it might suck to know your death date, but at least you know you have 13 years on this earth. Hillbilly Skeptic, thank you for the $5 donation, buddy. Says, there are legislatures telling schools they have to give players revenue share for all players. NIL will be for individual promotions. Well, those haven't been passed yet, but if that's passed, that's a different story. I still don't think that would have anything to do with the Pac-12 departures, though. I understand what you're saying, and I would not agree with that. I think the NIL thing needs to be a separate thing and needs to be a university by university. It could get ridiculous. Right now, there's really no rules. So, well, you know what? The legislation, maybe it provides rules. Maybe it's a good thing. I don't know. I would actually have to look at the thing. John Teal, thank you for the $2 donation. Here he goes. He's going to add USF, South Florida, Memphis, Appalachian State, and Tulane. Ugh. I don't know, man. It's a little bit of a weak Big East, man. Let's see. So let me see your first 5 teams. First 5. So all teams he listed. Let me go back. He's got North Carolina, Duke, Boston College, Wake Forest, UConn, South Florida, Memphis, Appalachian State, and Tulane. You gotta have more Power 5 teams in there for me to be interested in that. Otherwise, I'm not. I mean, I like the brands in there. It could be interesting, but it just looks like a weaker version of the Big East. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. I've been wrong before. Jason W says no. Total revenue pays for all score. Excuse me. Sorry, Jason W. Let me say that right. No. Total revenue pays for all school sports. What are you? I'm lost. What was the no to? Was that to the NIL? because the revenue and NIL is two separate things. The revenue does not go towards NIL. That's two separate things. Like that would go against Title IX, because Title IX is you have to spend the same amount of money on your women's athletics as you do with your men's athletics. So that would be and NIL, we all know, is football, and football is male. So no, the revenue that the school gets as far as from the conference or anything else does not go towards the NIL. Now, the donations and those foundations, the way they funnel them in, that's totally separate. And maybe that legislation is a way to put some guardrails on this thing, because this could get completely. I mean, look at the what am I saying? Look at the transfer portal. How crazy did that get? Jason W. Yes, you're right. Can't be paying players out of total TV revenues. 100%. I was talking towards facilities. You're paying the players through the NIL foundations and all that stuff. John T.O. All right, so he's wrapping up the Big East in a nice bow, saying Notre Dame maybe. They don't like the Big Ten and Syracuse. Well, it all depends on how much money if this new Big East says, hey, you can have your NBC deal, that's cool, and they add on to it, and Notre Dame basically controls the conference, like makes the rule, everything, like they control the conference, then maybe. Otherwise, no. I mean, they're not even joining the Big Ten. Notre Dame would have to have basically complete control to join that Big East. Maybe that's you know what? That might be a video idea. Let's see. How do I want to word this though? What conference? And this won't be the title. It's just how I want to go about with the content. What conference would be willing to Power 5 conference. Let me put that in there. What Power 5 conference would be willing to give Notre Dame complete control in order for them to join? There we go. Nice video idea right there. I like that. I like it. I like it. I like it. Let me check. I don't know why it kicked me out of the studio. My own show kicked me out. How about that? But I'm back. Can y'all hear me? Are we good on audio? Make sure. Anyways. I actually do like that question. Jason W. says, "How did?" Well, he said good and blue dude. I think he meant gold. How did gold and blue dude become gold and blue dude? I actually started out just being myself as far as using my real name, which is Chris. I don't know if y'all know that. My real name is actually Chris. And so we kind of figured out early that you have to have a brand. Like, you can't just go out there and be Chris, a YouTube channel. That's not going to work. So I was looking at different titles, and since I'm a West Virginia fan, like something gold and blue maybe, and I was seeing Uncle Lou's channel, he calls it LouTube. I was seeing Moose Tube, so I was like, I got it, gold and blue tube. That was my first name, guys. I'm telling you, gold and blue tube, like YouTube. And then it got to where I started noticing. I started looking at other channels. I'm like, wait a minute. The bigger channels, the more successful channels, it's not just a thing, a channel. It's an actual person. So instead of it looking like a channel name, it can be like a channel/person name. So I changed the tube to dude, gold and blue dude. So that's how it happened. I started as Chris, which is my real name. Whenever I decided to come up with an actual channel name, it was Gold and Blue Tube. and then that was switched over into Golden Blue. There's the story. John Tio, thank you for the $2 donation, says, after SEC, excuse me, let me reread that. After SEC, Big 10, Big 12, who would be better? Are you talking about between the ACC and the Pac-12? After SEC, Big 10, Big 12, who would be better? Or is it between those three? I'm kind of confused on the question. Straight up copied Uncle Lou. And Uncle Lou copied somebody else, and then that somebody copied, everybody copies everybody. Yeah, I've heard that before. Oh, yeah, I wore sunglasses. I copied Uncle Lou. Whenever Uncle Lou started his channel, he wore sunglasses, and Law Tide, he copied Law Tide. Law Tide saw another person. Like, everybody copies everybody. Come on, that's a stupid excuse. Trying to figure that question out. Man. Are you asking who's the best between SEC, Big 10, Big 12, or Pac-12, ACC? I want to answer your question correctly because I'm wondering about that. Kay Brewski says Notre Dame has never said anywhere that. I never said they said that. What are you saying? Your comment makes no sense. I was saying the only way a conference would have a chance to land Notre Dame is if they had control, and then you turn it into something like I was a liar. Man, you're so annoying, dude. You're testing my thick skin for sure. For sure. You do it on a daily basis. If you're asking SEC, Big 10, Big 12, of course, SEC, Big 12, Big 10. If you're surprised about that, then you're not noticing how top-heavy the Big 10 is. Okay, Brewski? You can say it all you want. Keep saying it. It doesn't make you correct. Anyways, SEC definitely the best. Big 10 has Michigan, Penn State, and Ohio State. Who do they have after that? And now I will say once the Big 12 loses Oklahoma and Texas and they gain BYU, Houston, UCF, Cincinnati, maybe the Big 10 is above them again. But I think as is, the Big 12 is a solid third-place conference. They don't have the best brands. They really don't have any premium brands, but top to bottom, they're solid. They are a solid conference. They're just missing those premium brands because Texas and Oklahoma left. Is there any way that Brett Yormark can go out and land a premium brand? The only way he can do that, number one, somehow convince Washington and Oregon to come, or one of them. There's your premium brand. You're good top to bottom, and you have your premium brand. Or if the ACC dissolves, somehow, some way, figure out how to get a Miami. You're not getting Florida State or Clemson, but if you can figure out how to get Miami, there you go. There's a premium brand. Hillbilly Skeptic, thank you for the $5 donation, says, each sport has different revenue generation from TV. Yes. Ticket sales and merchandise sales. Alabama football generated more than $170 million with over 50. Are you saying 50 million profit? I'm guessing. Yeah, 50 million profit. Yeah, you're 100% correct on that. Cyclone Steve, thank you for the $2 donation, says, if the Big 12 to be a super conference, why not add Washington State, Oregon State now? Good comment. And I'm actually doing a video on that tomorrow. That is a great comment, by the way. Listen, that would be a win-win for the Big 12. Why? Brett Yormark has been preaching. He wants that Pacific time zone. Guys, I'm telling you, Washington State has a top 25 fan base when it comes to size. It's surprising. It shocked me when I saw it, but I saw the stats. It's true. Top 25 national fan base. They will have one of the biggest, if not the biggest. I'm trying to figure out who else. Maybe Washington and Oregon would be more, but one of the biggest remaining in the Pac-12. So if you want that Pacific time zone and you want a big-time brand and a big-time fan base, Washington State is the way to go. If you can't lock down Colorado and Utah, because I'm not hearing anything from those two. Arizona and Arizona State, they are throwing a fit. Arizona and Arizona State, they're throwing a fit right now. They are not liking what's going on. They're throwing a fit. But I haven't heard anything from Utah and Colorado. So they could be the wild cards. So what if Utah and Colorado are like, no, we don't want to go to the Big 12. Big 12, you need to be looking at Washington, Oregon State. Oregon State just invested some money into renovating their stadium. They don't have a big football stadium, but it's very nice. They do make some money. A lot of luxury suites. It's more of a comfortable, intimate type of stadium. Washington State needs to do some renovations on there. I will say that. But Oregon State, they're putting some money into their stadium. It's small, but they're going to make money. So Oregon State and Washington State, I think, would be good additions. You would capture that fourth time zone, and you're not having to go down to the Group of 5 level. And no, I know I have San Diego State and Fresno State subscribers. So y'all already know this is not like trying to look down on you or anything. It's just the difference between Power 5 and Group of 5. Washington State and Oregon State, that would be better than getting Fresno State or San Diego State. However, if you can't get Oregon State and Fresno State, 100% get San Diego State and Fresno State. Or get one and the other, because having a footprint in the state of California, not a bad idea. So I would get like a Washington State and either a Fresno State or a San Diego State. Some combination of that. Something like that. John Teal, thank you for the $5 donation, says, I mean, if the ACC and Pac win out, this new Big East would be the best conference after SEC, Big 10, and Big 12. This would be next best. True, but I'm thinking in order for that Big East to be sustainable, you need to get that thing up to at least 12 members. Last count, I think you had 10. No, actually, I would say 16. Especially since your brands, I mean, Notre Dame and Syracuse, those are solid because of big fan bases, and Notre Dame being Notre Dame. But I would say you need to add at least 4 more solid brands, and then I would be looking at that particular Big East as a, that looks pretty solid. As is, I'm not so sure. Not so sure. Hillbilly Skeptic, thank you for the $2 donation, says, soon all players will need to be paid. Amateur equals slave. Or is that an equal sign? Amateur, not slave. Okay, I got you. Yeah, this is why I was for the NIL, because think about it. The NCAA and all these conferences and all these teams were making so much money off of these players, and they were getting nothing. Oh, they get a scholarship. Yeah, that's a drop in the bucket compared to what these schools and conferences are making. And now you're seeing with these players, I mean, getting, even a couple million. That's nothing compared to what the NFL and professional sports make. But compared to their tuition, yes, that is a big jump. So I am glad that they brought out NIL, but they did it the wrong way. It's like when they do the right thing, they do the right thing the wrong way. They brought in the playoffs. Yes, I was hoping they bring in the playoffs. Oh, but they're doing away with the system, and they're bringing in the human element. What are you thinking? And we've gotten some playoffs that you're like, that team shouldn't have been there. That was a joke. They backdoored their way. This is stupid. Didn't like. Usually it's only one spot, but still, that one spot is annoying. Why couldn't they just expand 2 more spots? Keep the BCS system, how they rank teams, because that was working perfectly. The BCS ranking system was working perfectly. What people didn't like was no playoffs. Just it determining the 2 best teams and those 2 teams playing. That's what people didn't like. They liked the actual rankings. The rankings worked really, really well. But no, they flushed the whole system down the drain, came up with the playoffs, and said, we're going to come up with a playoff committee. And I know they tried to get people who were unbiased as possible, but humans are humans. We can't help it. We're going to lean in one direction or another. It's just how it is. We're not robots without emotions. That's not how we were programmed. We have emotions. So why they did, and then the NIL thing where I'm like, they need to do the NIL. No going to balloon it. If they do that, it's going to blow up college football. I'm like, I understand what you're saying, but if they roll out the NIL and do it with some guidelines and rules, then we're good. Well, they rolled out the NIL, but it's a free-for-all. There was no rules. What are you thinking? Makes no sense, guys. Hillbilly Skeptic, thank you for the $5 nation, says, oh, he's talking to John Teal. He's saying, John Teal, the ACC is already better football than the Big Ten. That's a very good debate right there, actually. They just have more revenue. The ACC has way more nannies in the past 40 years. Big Ten, are you in Big 12 too? I'm guessing Big 12 too. Yes, it is shocking how many national championships the Big Ten has over the past 40 years. Two. I have a lot of Big Ten subscribers, so this might make y'all mad. This is college football. We're not always going to agree, so bear with me, okay? Yes, the Big Ten is a little bit overrated. I think they're top-heavy, and because of that, their schedule sets out to be, they have 1 or 2, maybe 3 tests a year, usually just 2. You get to the playoffs, and those teams are even better. Ohio State was a field goal away from beating Georgia, and if they beat Georgia, they're winning the national championship. No, that we're not. Then we're talking 3, and the Big Ten is a little bit higher on everybody's radar. But Michigan loses to TCU, Ohio State loses to Georgia, right? The problem with the Big Ten are your Northwesterns, your Rutgers, Michigan State this year. I mean, they had a great season in 2021, but I predicted that big slide backwards because they lost the only thing that was worth anything. Your Nebraskas, my gosh, Nebraska, what happened? Dang, craziness. Even though Maryland made a bowl, they've still held back the Big Ten in some respect. I mean, basically the teams that are holding up the Big Ten right now are Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State. Those are your upper tier. You have, 2 middle tier, unless you're counting Purdue. I would say Wisconsin, Iowa, maybe Purdue. That's it. The rest is garbage right now. Illinois and Indiana, trash. And I know. Illinois had a better season last year. They had a great defense, but their offense was trash. Anybody with a pulse that had an offense could beat that team, all right? So, and maybe Brett Bielema is doing something amazing over there, and Illinois can jump into that upper echelon. But right now, it's still defense. That offense needs to take a step forward, big step forward. Indiana was showing a glimmer of hope whenever they had Michael Penix Jr., who transferred to Washington, which tells you just how good of an athlete he is. Washington immediately better with him as quarterback. So, I don't know. But I do think the Big Ten has some glaring holes, but my gosh, they're getting paid. They're getting paid, right? John Teal, thank you for the $2 donation, says, I like the ACC. I'm just going off the theme. What is the theme? Who's in worse shape? ACC or Pac-12? I forgot my own theme. Anyways, yeah. And whenever I'm saying who's in worse shape, I'm not talking about like on the field. I'm talking about financially. Pac-12 and ACC are financially in a bad position. Both conferences missed the playoffs last year. Pac-12 hasn't been to the playoffs in like 7-8 years, something like that. Pac-12 has one more year left on this TV deal, and if they don't get one locked in, they're going to be playing in front of no TV cameras because they're not going to have a TV deal. Teams will not stay for that. If that happens, that would be worst case scenario. You can't get a TV deal locked in. Nobody's staying. Not even Oregon State or Washington State, Cal, Stanford, none of them. None of them will play for free. That is not going to happen. It's just not. So, I mean, there's a real possibility that the Pac-12 could dissolve. Until a TV deal is announced, that possibility exists. Hero 75, thank you for the $5 donation, says, conferences always add teams in pairs. I've done a video on that. I agree. Who does FSU and Clemson pair with if they did pay to leave ACC to Big Ten, SEC. Unlikely others pay to leave. Yeah, I agree with that. So that's why I said after those two announced, I expect if there's real talk behind closed doors as far as teams actually leaving, I expect in the next couple weeks, maybe the North Carolina athletic director comes out and says something, or the Miami athletic director comes out and says something, or the Louisville athletic comes out and says something. Virginia Tech athletic director comes out. NC State, stuff like that, because I do agree with you. I don't think Florida State and Clemson are going to end up in the same conference. And if that's the case, I don't know if the Big Ten will just take Florida State, and I don't know if the SEC just takes Clemson. It's possible. Because here's the thing. Remember the rule where you have to have divisions. If you have 12 members, you have to have divisions in order to play a conference championship. That is out the window. In fact, in 2024, this year, 2023, the ACC will be playing without divisions. This past year, the Pac-12 played without divisions. The Big 12 has been playing without divisions. That's 3 conferences right there. So if the Big Ten decides, hey, we only want Florida State, they can get rid of divisions. And they can just bring on Florida State. I get what you're saying. Conference realignment usually happens in pairs. But at the same time, there's been now whenever Nebraska join, I think Nebraska joined with Maryland, didn't they? But still, that was back whenever there had to be divisions. Same with Utah and Colorado to the Pac-12. All those conference realignments were under that rules. Were under those rules that if you had 12 members or more, you had to have divisions. So now that rule is gone, then I think the rule of conference realignment happening in pairs also goes away. I think you will see conferences picking one team. If it's just that one team that's wanting to go and it's a great brand, they're going to pick them up without having to, we don't really want that team, but come on, we have to do this in pairs because we've got to keep both sides equal. That's not how it is. So if Florida State is dead set on getting out of the ACC and they want the Big Ten, and that's the only team the Big Ten can get, the Big Ten will get them. And they'll just run without divisions, and the top 2 teams will make the conference championship. We can have uneven numbers in conferences now. Jason W., thank you for the $2 donation, says, Are the leaking info sources media or conference insiders? Are the leaking info sources media or conference insiders? I think it's more media. That's why I'm not doing actual predictions, because I learned that the first go around. So whenever Oklahoma and Texas announced that they were going to the SEC, I had inside sources that were like right next to the situation, like they were in the rooms where the conversations were happening. And they were telling me, yes, it's going to be West Virginia, Notre Dame to the ACC. So I can do a video on this, right? Yes, just don't mention who you heard it from. Okay, fine. So I started pumping out videos, right? It didn't happen. So what I learned was, even if a source who is super close to the situation tells you something, you can talk about it, but don't make it a prediction. Because until it's done, it's not done. Hero75, thank you for the $5 donation, says, crazy idea. Could teams pair with teams from other conferences to join a different conferences? FSU and Texas A&M together to the Big Ten. Well, it's funny that you said that, because Nebraska and Maryland went to the Big Ten together, if I'm not mistaken, and Utah, who was out of the Mountain West, came with Colorado to the Pac-12. So there is some precedent to that in the past. But I think that's very possible, because Texas A&M does not like being in the same conference as Texas. Is it enough for them to actually leave? I don't know. I mean, the money is going to be great in the Big Ten. It's a very small buyout. I think it's like $40 million buyout. That's like chump change in Texas A&M. I think it's possible, and I think that would be an interesting idea because that would be the Big Ten getting 2 major states in one move. Remember, the 3 states that these mega conferences will be targeting are California, Florida, and Texas. Well, they already grabbed California. The Big Ten already grabbed California with USC and UCLA, right? Well, if they get, I do think they'll get Florida State. I think that will happen, whether it's now or 2036. I don't know. I think that's happening. So they will grab the state of Florida. So honestly, the only way they grab the state of Texas is they flip Texas A&M, which is possible. It is. I don't know if it's actually going to happen, but it is possible, guys. I'm telling you, it is possible. But other than that, I mean, Rice, because of academics, but they wouldn't really bring any revenue in. So it would basically be Texas A&M or bust as far as adding a team out of the state of Texas. I just don't see them going after SMU, Rice, any of those schools, Baylor, TCU, Texas Tech. I just don't see, unless they're like absolutely obsessed with the state of Texas. I just don't see happening. John Tino, thank you for the $5 donation. Says SEC could just take Clemson because they have South Carolina. Florida State needs Georgia Tech, in my opinion. Travel partners is a big deal. Yeah, when it comes to the Big Ten, I can understand what you're saying, but if they're the only ones that is wanting to jump right then and there, I think they would make the jump so they can start making up the revenue sooner rather than later, and then they would just kind of wait on Georgia Tech. Because eventually, I think Georgia Tech will end up in the Big Ten as well. So, yeah, I completely understand what you're saying, and I agree with you. But I don't think they need them right now. I think Florida State could go, and they would be fine waiting on Georgia Tech. Now, if they were just jumping and that was it, Big Ten's not adding any more Southern schools, then Florida State might think twice. Now, they'd probably think twice and still jump because that's a lot of money. But, yeah, that would be a lot of travel. But for Florida State, they're the only team, and they're going to bite that bullet. They're going to, okay, we got to travel a lot for the next, 5 years or whenever Georgia Tech, decides to leave, or whenever the ACC dissolves. Because if Clemson and Florida State leave, the number needed to vote to dissolve the grant of rights goes down. Just like, if the ACC were to add some teams, the number goes up as far as teams needed to vote down the grant of rights because it's a majority vote. I think the number is 8. So if they were to go out and get 4 teams, that helps your grant of rights right there. It goes from 8 teams to 12 teams. Then you would need 12 teams. And there just wouldn't be 12 teams. Well, if Florida State and Clemson left, then it would go from 8 at least to 7, maybe down to 6. But at least down to 7. So that would make it easier for the teams remaining as far as voting down the grant of rights. But you are losing two of the votes that would have probably went towards that. So it's chicken or the egg type of situation. Which one's better? I don't know. I just don't think it would be bad for the teams that are willing to vote to dissolve the grant of rights anyways. Now, the thing that I want to ask is the Notre Dame thing. Would it be good for Notre Dame if the ACC dissolved, or would it be bad? Or would it not matter? I haven't been able to figure that out. If anybody, and whenever I can't figure something out, I admit it. I don't try to BS it and act like I know something I don't know. If I don't know it, I don't know it. I can't figure that out. Would it be better for Notre Dame if the ACC existed or not, or does it just not matter? I'm not sure. In football, I don't think it matters. I'm sure the Big Ten, even the Big 12 and the SEC would probably schedule Notre Dame. So their schedule probably would be tougher, but it's all the other sports. All the other sports. Now, let me be clear. I see your comment, Anthony. So let me be clear. I'm not asking, would they care or not? I'm saying, how would it affect them? Do they need the ACC to exist? Do they not need the ACC to exist? Or it doesn't matter? Would it be better for them or would it not be better for them? Hillbilly Skeptic, a new channel member. That's what I'm talking about. Appreciate your support, buddy. I don't know. So I'm going to look into that. That's a possible, let's see. Let me write this down real quick, folks. See, how do I want to word that? Okay, would it be better or worse Notre Dame if the ACC imploded, or would it not matter? There we go. We're good. Another, that's just how my brain works. And if I don't write it down, then I'll forget about it. So when I get a video idea, I have to write it down immediately. That's why I started the Get a Gang thing too, because you guys leave great comments in all the videos, and it's just amazing. And honestly, it's you guys leaving comments in all the videos that, you know what, Katie, I'm going to get back to you, John Teal. I'm going to put this on here. What I'm going to do, Katie, or Brewski, my bad, is screenshot this real quick. There we go. I'm going to use your comment in my video, Brewski, all right? John Teal, thank you for the $5 donation, says, SMU has very old money. And if the Big Ten wants in Texas, that's an easy pick. With that exposure, they could pop like the U in the 80s. Very similar schools. It's still a gamble, though. I'm not sure if the Big Ten is willing to take a gamble. I'm not sure. I mean, we were talking about, remember George Kliavkoff went out and flew and met the SMU president, all that stuff. From what I'm hearing, SMU didn't get the votes. That's what I'm hearing. So they're called on SMU right now. I don't know about San Diego State. I don't know if it was an all or nothing type of situation, but from what I'm hearing, SMU didn't get the votes. Now, did they take a revote or something like that, and eventually they come in? I don't know. Would the Big Ten be interested in SMU just to get a footprint in the state of Texas? I don't know. I think if they have a chance to get Texas A&M, that's your goal. Get Texas A&M. I mean, that is a premium brand that's going to bring you in a lot of money, and of course the footprint in the state of Texas. You would have California with USC, UCLA, Florida with Florida State, and then the state of Texas with Texas A&M. So that's who you have to go after, and I think there's a chance. I don't know how likely it is. I don't know how probable it is, but it's a chance. And if you have a chance, you have to take it. You have to try. And who knows? Maybe Texas A&M just really does hate Texas that much. I don't know. As far as the Big Ten with SMU, that's a big gamble. It's really, really big. Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing the comments in the comment section. Yet, what makes you even consider SMU is they have a lot of money. They do have a lot of money, but it's a lot of the other stuff. Like, nobody supports SMU. Like, they can't even fill up a 32,000 seat stadium, and then everybody remembers the death penalty back in the day. So their brand is tarnished. So yes, they have money, but that would be a major gamble for the Big Ten. And I would say SMU is probably more necessary for the Pac-12 than the Big Ten. I don't think it's necessary for the Big Ten. I don't. If you want to take a swing at Texas A&M, fine. If you miss, no big deal. But SMU is not a must get for the Big Ten. That's just my opinion. David Z, thank you for the $2 donation, says, conference leadership is the factor. Pac-12, Big 12 battle. That's the biggest factor. 100% agree, because on one side you have Brett Yormark, who has been brilliant, and on top of that, he might have cut the Pac-12 off of some potential members, because you heard the Big 12 was talking to Fresno State there for a minute. Maybe he got in the ear of SMU and be like, you don't want to get with this conference, man. They're going to go down. I'm telling you. And if you just wait, maybe we'll bring him in later. That's just hearsay, but I'm saying he's every approach he's taken has been brilliant. George Kliavkoff, on the other hand, has been a total klutz. My gosh. So the Pac-12 TV deal, we know, ends next year. The Big 12 was supposed to end in 2025. Brett Yormark jumps the line, nails down a TV deal. It's not a great one. It's like $31.5 million per team per year. It's not great, but it's a deal. George Kliavkoff's like, well, I think we're worth at least close to Big Ten SEC money. We're going to take all bidders, and whoever bids the highest, that's who we'll take. And here we are, possibly looking at a 22, maybe 25 million per team per year deal. And it's if I was a Pac-12 fan, I would be mad. I'd be furious at George Kliavkoff. This happened under his watch, and he's made bad decision after bad decision after bad decision. I don't understand it. John TL, thank you for the $2 donation, says, You're starting QB now, A&M and SMU. I mean, SMU does have the money, but it's all those other strikes. I can't overlook it. Jimmy Yates, thank you for the $2. I know you probably meant to put your comment in that $2 donation, so I'm going to put your comment up there anyways. Why is Utah so silent? Actually, thank you for reminding me that, because I meant to do a video on that today, and I just ran out of time. And on top of that, give me 1 second. So I'm wondering the same thing, because I've been saying for the past couple of days, it's those quiet teams that you have to look out for, because whenever they're quiet, usually they're talking behind closed doors. We saw Oregon and Washington make a big hoopla about trying to get to the Big Ten. They applied and they were turned down. Phil Knight even went over there and visited, right? So then we heard, Big 12 talking to Four Corners, Arizona and Arizona State being very, very, very vocal about not liking what's going on in the Pac-12 as far as no TV deal, bad TV deal, whatever, being loud. No, the Arizona schools have not been quiet. They've been loud. And then yesterday, the Arizona State athletic director, along with the Oregon State athletic director, said there's still no TV deal on the table. The two teams we have not heard from that matter, I know we haven't heard from Stanford or Cal either, but it's Colorado and Utah. And they have been the ones rumored lately, like the past week or so. So I would say, yeah, they've been coming out saying they're not happy with the Pac-12, and they, if need be, they would jump to the Big 12. But anyways, so Colorado and Utah, those were the two that would really, you really need to keep your eyes on, because they're being quiet. And like I said in the other video, somebody pointed out that the USC athletic director used to be the Colorado athletic director, and he's still a Colorado fan through and through. Part of his separation package was that he would continue to get 6 home games, or how many home games they have per year for Colorado. So he still loves Colorado. It's possible that he knew some inside information as far as who the Big Ten was looking at and what Colorado needed to do in order to get the eyes of the Big Ten. And he was like, look, you have the academics, you do have the fan support. Your football program is a train wreck. Big Ten says, get your football program up to snuff. You start making money, they'll look at you. What happens? Colorado goes out and hires Deion Sanders, Coach Prime. And the NIL revenue goes through the roof. Transfers, over 200 transfers reached out to Deion Sanders within 48 hours of him being hired. So it was Tim Prangley in the house. What's up, buddy? They immediately raised their brand strength by hiring Deion Sanders. So I'm not saying that's what happened, but it is completely possible that the athletic director of USC, who still loves the school that he went to Colorado, and is trying to throw them a bone and say, hey, listen, I talked with the Big Ten, and they said, yes, they're sort of interested in you, but you guys really need to clean up your football program and make it worth something. And then they went out and hired Deion Sanders. It makes sense, and it wouldn't surprise me if it happened. Whether it actually happened, I don't know. I'm just trying to create dots and then connect them. It would make sense. John Teal, thank you for the $5 donation, says, death penalty was NIL. People are in prison from 30 years ago over weed. Yes. It's not just that they have money, it's that they want to be good. SMU. The whole, I don't think, was he? Yeah. SMU was basically doing the NIL back in the day, and that was the death penalty by SMU. That's a good argument. Wow, I never thought of that. Think about this, people. Think about this. Brilliant, John Teal. My gosh. So, SMU was given the death penalty back in the day, right? And it still is a smear across their brand, right? Well, what they got the death penalty for back in the day is now the NIL. This is what John Teal is saying. Same thing as, they're legalizing weed, and there's people in prison for 20, 30 years for selling or smoking weed. Very good point. Very good point. So if it's legalized now, I think there should be some type of go back and be able to take it off somebody's record type of thing, because if you're determining that it should be legalized, then you're literally admitting you were wrong by making it illegal. So you should undo the damage that you did whenever it was illegal. So that might be the comment of the day, John Teal. Right there, people. Death penalty was the NIL. SMU got the death penalty because they basically did NIL stuff before it was legal. Now, they knew it was illegal. Doesn't make what they did right, but eventually we see that the NCAA and the United States in general saw that athletes should be paid. You shouldn't be given the death penalty for the NIL. Same thing with what we're seeing with marijuana. They're actually seeing medical benefits. It's not the Reagan administration started this brainwashing crap that actually started from tobacco companies. Hello. We're not going to go down that road. I'm just saying it all connects. People start figuring out that, a lot of this stuff that's illegal is really illegal just because somebody bought them out or because they were brainwashed, something like that. So, I don't know. We do have some Utah viewers in the chat. They're kind of on the fence. They don't know if they should take a chance or risk for winning something better. Here's the thing: the SEC is not going to grab Utah. That's a fact. I'm not trying to offend you. I'm not talking down to you, but we know that's a fact. They're not going to go all the way out to Utah. It's a geography thing. So, how confident would Utah fans be in the Big Ten coming to get them? If you're not confident, then you jump to the Big 12. But if you are confident, then that's when you take your risk and you jump. That's the question you have to ask yourself. By the way, guys, our merchandise store is up, and I do actually have a sample, and my cat's laying on it, so it might have cat hair on it. What are you doing? Stop. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, guys. We have great products, great quality over there. This is a rain jacket. I have other stuff. I think I put it in with my other clothes, so I don't feel like digging it out. It's good quality stuff, guys. This is a raincoat, and we sell it for cheaper than everybody else because we ship it ourselves. I'm trying to see if this has a price on it. I don't see it. I think this is like $25, $30, something like that. It's not bad. So we ship it ourselves. It's made in-house. So you're going to get our merchandise for the cheapest. So you see it scrolling on the bottom of our screen, goldenbluedude.com. That's it, goldenbluedude.com, and boom, there's a merchandise store. Go up, buy some great merchandise store. Let's start showing everybody who we are. We're starting to get bigger, guys. We're almost 13,000. Last subscriber count that I saw, 12,986. So if you're not subscribed, remember, I looked at that subscriber count about an hour before I went live. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. You might be the 13,000 subscriber. Who knows? We were only 14 subscribers away. I will say this. You're not going to get a prize or anything. I'm not saying you're getting a prize for the 13,000, but still, pretty cool being the 13,000 subscriber. You never know. So hit that subscribe button on the way up, and we greatly appreciate it. This was another great show, guys. I appreciate you guys showing up. There is no show without you guys. I would just be sitting here talking to a camera with nobody watching. That's it. So you guys make the show, and I appreciate it. On the way out, make sure to hit the like button, please. It still helps the video. It's just one simple click. It's fast, easy, simple, free. Click it on the way out, and I would greatly appreciate it. It's awesome. Keeps this stuff going. And hey, if you didn't catch us live and you're watching a replay of this, we would appreciate you to hit the like button as well. Let's all hit the like button and keep this going. Comments in the comment section. All the super chats. You guys are amazing. We had amazing February. We're getting off to an amazing start in March. I have a feeling March is going to be a good month as well. I just have this feeling, and it's all because of you guys. So tomorrow will be another live show at 10 p.m. I'm not sure about Friday because Friday I will be traveling down to Charleston, South Carolina, the Slav Olympics. Yours truly won it last year. See that? Let me put that right. I think that's right. Can y'all see that or the glare? There we go. Gold and Blue 2022. I am the champ, but I have to defend it on Saturday. I'm just going for top 10. Always go for top 10. First year I finished, I think, 7th. Last year, 1st. So if I crack the top 10 again, I'm good. Of course, I'm going for first place again, but I'm telling you, it's difficult. It's difficult. There's some competitors out there, man. There are some competitors. Sorry, MSU Detroit fan, you are just a smidge late. We're about to wind this thing out, but you can watch the replay if you want. Hey, you showed up. That's support right there, and we appreciate you as well. So, anyways, guys, I hope that I know, Tim, man. You're just so far away. Maybe one time we'll have the Slavs out on the West Coast. I don't know, man, but it would be so cool for you to come and hang out with everybody. That'd be awesome, dude. Maybe when Golden, I'll make a deal with you. When Golden Blue gets like really, really big, and I can afford to start paying for people's trips, I will pay for your flights and your entire travel. You're coming to the Slavs when Golden Blue gets big, even if we're never able to go out on the West Coast. I will pay your way. I promise, buddy. So that might be a few years from now, but still, that's a promise. When Golden Blue gets big enough to where I can start paying people's ways to the Slavs, I got you. I definitely got you. Anyways, I got to wrap tonight up. Tomorrow is still school for the kids. Got to wake up early and do all that stuff. Hopefully we'll be able to have a live show on Friday. I'm not sure if I'll be at the hotel or not, or what kind of Wi-Fi, so I can't promise anything. But definitely a live show tomorrow. But Tim said I had the flight and a place to stay. Got a new job. Dang it, man. Oh, that sucks. That does suck. Maybe next time. Maybe next time. Anyways. That's it for tonight's show, and yep, it is official. Golden Blue Dude is out.